Alright, this past week was dominated with discussion about the media and how it can add to and sometimes most often sway opinion. We talked about the concept of the public agenda and that both political parties will kind of glom onto whatever is the most important subject at the time and then work through their progressive media outlets to spin the message the way that they want. Of course, we talked on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 with that coming up, how that kind of shaped public agenda for such a long time. But we also looked at examples of how, even subtly, the media can try to change the opinion and ultimately the agenda of the American populace. And of course, this happens globally. We're just looking at it from a U.S. standpoint. Now, anytime a president of any type is in charge, of course, they have to answer to the public agenda. Obviously, right now, it is the economy. Behind the driving force of the media and all of this, of course, is this concept of consumerism, which is that we take pleasure in buying things. So Chandler Mall that you're looking at here can be considered like an adult's Disneyland, much closer to home, of course, because do you take pleasure in spending money? The concept says yes, you do. When we look at the media, as we said in class, it is all about the money, because have you ever seen a newspaper without an ad? Have you ever seen a news show without an ad? It's simply the way it is. And of course, in the 21st century, there's new and emerging ways the media is being manipulated. We've talked about the man known as Jon Stewart and his contribution from Comedy Central, which of course is in textbooks now. And we looked at some of the ways that he mocks the mainstream media. We also talked about the concept of de facto segregation a little bit bigger, which shows us that if we really know where people live, political parties can target their audiences that are there, and of course try to get the media to sell their message as well. We talked about coverage and how it can alter things, and how in the Photoshop day and age, of course, we have to be very thoughtful about what we're considering as far as a reliable source. We also talked about the influence of interest groups into all of this, and how something as simple as companies that are out there, especially large conglomerates, can then take our money that we simply spend either watching TV, at a grocery store, or anything, and give it to candidates. One example we used in class was John Kerry and his wife Teresa Heinz Kerry, where if you were buying Heinz ketchup, you were literally contributing to the 2004 Democratic campaign. And last but not least for the week, we talked about commercials, and of course we watched the most famous, infamous of all time from 1964, known as the Little Peace Girl spot, where the girl, of course, got nuked in the ad, and we then had you look at other ads as we ended the week. Now, to end the week, we talked about 10 trillion and counting, which I will leave that for next week's podcast review, since we're talking about government financing.